Today, we're going to unravel a pretty fascinating medical mystery. It's a story that links two very different countries, a really startling gap in their health outcomes, and a single, simple nutrient that most of us, well, we've completely forgotten about it.
So our story starts, as promised, with a tale of two countries, Japan and the United States. And the mystery at the heart of it all is a stark and frankly pretty alarming disparity when it comes to breast cancer rates. I mean, just look at this. What's so striking here is the sheer scale of the difference. The rate of breast cancer in Japanese women is drastically lower than what we see in the United States. And this isn't some small statistical blip, It's a chasm. It's huge.
So, you have to ask, right? Why? What could possibly account for such a massive gap in health between two modern, developed societies? Is it something in their genetics, or is something else going on?
Well, this is where we find our first major clue. Studies that followed Japanese women who moved to the U.S. are really telling. The women who migrated found their breast cancer risk rose to a level about halfway between the rates in Japan and America. But their daughters, the ones raised on a typical American diet, their risk shot all the way up to match the U.S. rate. That tells us something huge. It's not about genetics. It's about environment and diet.
So what is that environmental factor? What's the dietary smoking gun? Well, it appears to be one crucial missing element: iodine.
And here it is. This is the big aha moment. The average American gets maybe a few hundred micrograms of iodine a day, but in Japan, the intake is often over 12 milligrams. That's not just a little more, it's a massive, massive nutritional gap.
Now, most of us, when we hear iodine, we immediately think of the thyroid gland, right? But that's only part of the story. It turns out iodine is essential for all glandular tissue in the body, and that includes the breast, the prostate, the ovaries, all these areas where we see significant cancer rates in the West.
So how does iodine protect us? One of its key jobs is to promote something called apoptosis. Think of it as the body's own quality control system. It's a natural process where iodine helps signal to abnormal or potentially cancerous cells that, hey, it's time to self-destruct for the good of the whole body. And here's some more direct evidence for you. A goiter, that's swelling in the neck, is the classic physical sign of a severe iodine deficiency. Well, the data shows that women who have goiters also have a threefold higher risk of developing breast cancer. The connection is just undeniable.
And this isn't just a US versus Japan story, not at all. It's now believed that over a third of the entire global population is iodine deficient to some degree. This is a widespread and, frankly, worsening problem.
Just look at this trend right here in the United States. Back in the early 70s, about 2.6% of people were severely deficient. Fast forward to the 90s, and that number had jumped to 14.5%. That is a 5.6-fold increase in just a couple of decades. Something clearly changed.
The stakes here are incredibly high. Beyond cancer risk, iodine deficiency is the leading preventable cause of cognitive impairment worldwide. Its impact on a developing baby's brain is absolutely crucial, and yet it's something we just rarely ever discuss.
But here's where the story takes a fascinating and, honestly, a pretty concerning twist. See, it's not just that we're getting less iodine. It's also about what our bodies are getting instead.
To get this, we need to understand a little something called competitive inhibition. Iodine belongs to a chemical family called the halogens. Other members, like bromine and fluorine, are chemically so similar that they can actually latch onto the same receptors in your body. And when they do, they effectively block iodine from getting where it needs to go.
And this slide is the real shocker. Before the 1980s, flour in the United States was often fortified with iodine, a vital nutrient. What about today? Well, now it's fortified with bromine, a competing halogen that also happens to be a suspected carcinogen. We literally swapped out an essential nutrient for a chemical that not only blocks it, but might be harmful on its own. It's just, wow.
And these competitors are everywhere. Bromine is in pesticides, plastics, even some soft drinks. Fluorine is added to many water supplies. Chlorine is in our tap water. So we are constantly being exposed to elements that make it even harder for our bodies to use the little iodine we do get.
So the big question is, how do we fix this? How can we start reclaiming this essential nutrient in our own diets? Let's take a look at the best places to find it. And the answer, overwhelmingly, comes from the ocean. The richest sources of iodine are things like kelp and seaweed, followed by cod, shellfish, and sardines.
basically the very foods that are staples in coastal nations like Japan. And this just puts the difference into such stark perspective. A single serving of a Japanese kelp salad can pack around 12 milligrams of iodine. Think about that. That one dish has exponentially more iodine than the average American gets in an entire week. It really brings our whole mystery full circle, doesn't it?
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at the modern diet, the steady rise in deficiencies, and the constant presence of all these chemical competitors, are any of us truly getting enough of this forgotten but absolutely vital nutrient?